Welcome to the College Basketball Net Profit Show, Thursday, March 2030. In Cameron and Conor Mack ready to break down the Sweet 16. It is here. No more NIT, no more CBI, no more rinky-dink stuff. The real stuff, the real deal is finally here. NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, 4 games tonight, 4 really good games. I can make a case for all 4 of these games being very interesting, fascinating games in some way, shape, or form. So excited to talk about them. Let's begin. We'll go in order of time. Actually, we'll start with the earliest game to the latest game. So we'll start at Madison Square Garden, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Michigan State, Kansas State. We've got the Spartans, slight favorites, 1-point favorites, 138 the total in this game. I've liked Kansas State throughout this tournament. I've got a futures on them, Conor Mack, to win the region, to win the East region. So I'm hoping that they can pull it through here. I mean, it's a nice price, too, that we've got on K-State to win the region. I think they're live. When you've got a guard that can take over a game like Marquise Noel can, you're always going to have a chance. And I think that's the highlight of this game is you got great guards on both sides, you know, for Tyson Walker for Michigan State, Marquise Noel for Kansas State. Really going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to be more about who's going to get those key stops in this game and who around the supporting cast of the guards are going to be able to step up for their respective teams. The way I look at this is I'm a little surprised Michigan State's favored. I get it. It's Tom Izzo. I get it. They're playing well in this tournament. They're showing signs of a team that's maybe playing their best at the right time. But I think if you look at the full season body of work, I think it's hard to deny that Kansas State's the better team. And yet they're the slight underdog. They've been the higher ranked team all year. They're playing in the better conference top to bottom, the Big 12. You know, it's a team that has.
This is only Big 10 team.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of mediocre teams in the Big 10.
Yeah. And the two Bible of college basketball websites, as I call them, Ken Palm and Bart Torvik, both have Kansas State favored in this game. And yet here they are as a slight underdog. I like K-State here. I think Noel could be a difference maker in the end. I like the way they played better defensively late in the season. So I'm on K-State. I think this is a game that's going to be one of your fun games to watch tonight, as in I think you're going to see points in this game. This is the one over that I really like on this card. There's a couple others I lean to the over, but this is the one I really think it's a good number. It's 138. It's reasonable. I think you can get up and over that total. I think you're going to, when you got two good backcourts like this, I think it's reasonable to expect a pretty good amount of points here in this game. Conor Mack, what do you think here with this one? Michigan State, Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, and the defenses are good, you know, in their own right. They're not great, I'd say. And both teams, like you mentioned, can shoot it. We know K-State wants to get up and down a little bit more than Michigan State. They're a little bit slower, but they're efficient, you know, 40% from three. You talked about Walker, Hauser. I think there'll be shots made. And, you know, to look at this number when it came out, because obviously unders are rolling. I'll get into the next few games. I thought it was a little low at the open, you know, and this has moved up, 2.5 points or so. But I thought there could be points here. Michigan State, though, is a total team. I do like taking unders. They can get into a shootout, and I have had trouble over the years. So this one's kind of keeping me off because I think this game could get over the number here. Kansas State has consistently gone over here, anything in the 130s. You know, they've had 1 or 2 games in their last 15 or so that haven't. But I think their offense gets it done. I think, no, I agree with you. You know, I get it. Michigan State, Izzo, I could see them win as well. This is one of the games that wasn't one of my favorite looks for me. So I just lean K-State in the over.
Yeah, and like I said earlier today with Jose, I mean, it's the Sweet 16, right? You can make a case to bet either side, you know, in all these games. I mean, that's how good these teams are. You know, 16 best teams in the country left standing pretty much here when it's all said and done. All right, let's get to the second game tonight. This is at T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. There's a chance Conor Mack would have gone to one or both of these games tonight if he wasn't planning for a trip to San Antonio for Pubapalooza 2 tomorrow. But
I'd like to go to that late game.
To that Gonzaga UCLA game. We'll see. But the first game in Vegas tonight, Arkansas, UConn. We've got Connecticut. Wow, 3.5 now. We've seen some Arkansas money here. How about that? 3.5 point favorites now, UConn. 140 the total in this game. The money's moving toward the side that I bet. I like Arkansas here. plus the points. I mean, I think with this Arkansas team, there's a distinct matchup advantage on their side here going into this game. The way I see it is Arkansas is a pressure team. They get after the guards of the opposing team, and that's still the one little hiccup right now on this UConn team. That guard play of theirs, some games it's good, some games it's awful, and you don't know what you're going to get. And sometimes the ball handling and the turnovers are an issue with UConn. And if there's any team that's capable of exploiting that, it's Arkansas. So I think the key for Arkansas is are they able to make enough shots? That's not always a team that make consistent offense and hit their shots routinely. And the thing about UConn is they're an excellent defensive team. And they've got Adama Sanogo playing at a very high level. I don't know if there's a stopper for Arkansas on him. But I think the counter argument to that is Arkansas can get after those guards who I don't think play consistent one game to the next, force them into mistakes, force them into turnovers, get them off their game. And if they turn it over, we know Arkansas is lethal in transition, turning it into baskets at the other end of the court. And plus, you've got Musselman with time to prepare. He's just one of those coaches that has done a great job getting his teams ready with that extra time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of the games where they've been knocked out of the tournament, they've lost straight up, but they've still covered ATS as a dog. So that's kind of my thinking here. Even if UConn does advance, I'm not sure they're going to win this game by margin. I'm not sure the matchups dictate well enough in their favor to win by margin. I think at the very worst case scenario, Arkansas makes this a one-possession game, and it wouldn't even shock me if they win outright. I like the Razorbacks here, plus the points. Conor, what do you think here? Arkansas, UConn.
Yeah, and that last game was all, counsel. They're not crazy deep, but Smith had nothing, 0 points. Yep. You got to think he has a big game. Right away, when I looked at the total, I think it's under or nothing. And there could be points here, though, but I just thought at the 140.5, I think you look towards the under. Dude, Sanogo, that'll be tough. If this guy continues to get 25 and 10, they could be just coast their way here. That's just dominant. But I saw UConn throughout the year have hiccups. They seem like they're the team from early on, then they had that slide and playing great. I have to mention those first two games, though. I'm with you a little bit with Arkansas. But Arkansas, I talked about early in this tournament, they're a top 20 team first half. UConn didn't look great in the first few. You can take that how you want it, But and then they blew out both those teams in the second half. And the only thing is now you don't have the hook. That's gone now because you mentioned full game. There's basically all this money everywhere is on UConn, but it's biting back here at 3.5. There's only twos, but I like the 2.5 with Arkansas first half. I think they get after it here. But even at 2, I like it. I think they're in this from the beginning. So I'm looking at Arkansas first half. I like this under as well. Fouls is the only thing, maybe late.
Yeah,
that could make this game. We all know that here.
That's how Arkansas Kansas went over the total last week. It was fouls.
Depending on where you got it, right?
Yep.
For some people it went under, some people it went over, or what, depending on how it went, because it did drop a couple points. Man, this should be good though. I think defense will be prevalent, and I think UConn, as you've seen in the tournament, they've been good. St. Mary's, Iona game kind of got away, but I think we see a tighter game that's close, low scoring. So I love it.
Yeah, one thing I'm tempted to do is actually add Arkansas first half, because that might even be better, because Arkansas, I could see with Musselman's prep, might have an edge there over Hurley. I like Danny Hurley's nothing like, it's not like he's a bad coach, but this is new territory for him, Sweet 16. And, Musselman's been here before. I could see the first half, and we know UConn's been a hell of a second half team in their first two tournament games, Iona and then against St. Mary's. They just destroyed those two teams in the second half. So, if I get first half Arkansas and full game, and I see Arkansas up by like 8 at halftime, I'll probably bet UConn at halftime as kind of a hedge, kind of a wait a minute. They've been a great second half team. So if you like UConn, second half might be the best option, honestly, because we've seen that track record of them playing their best after halftime.
Yeah, and one thing too, Arkansas not a great free throw shooting team, but they're not a great from three either, but attack. Get to the rim, maybe get Sanogo in foul trouble, just get there, and I think they can hang around. They kind of did that with Kansas. They were down 5 to 10 the whole game, and then cut it, and boom, here we go, madness.
All right, we've got second game tonight at Madison Square Garden in the East Regional semifinals. Florida Atlantic versus Tennessee. The Volunteers, 5-point favorites, 129.5 the total in this one. I'm on FAU to win this region. Took them before the tournament started at really an incredible price with them, Florida Atlantic, to win the region. And I'm just taking a look here. What the exact price? Yeah, plus 3,000, 30-1 to win the East. I've got them alive at 30-1 to win the East. I've got Kansas State alive at 12-1 to win the East, and then I've got Arkansas 20-1 to win the West. Miami Hurricanes 20-1 to win the Midwest. So we've got some live tickets still here to win the regions before the tournament started. So I'm hoping like hell Florida Atlantic wins tonight. Do I want to add on plus the points? I did add on plus the points tonight against Tennessee. I got 5.5, but guess what? 5.5s are gone. It's 5 across. It's 4.5 even in some spots. So there's definitely been some movement toward Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic punked Duke. Tennessee, I should say, punked Duke last weekend. There's no question. They made it a physical battle, a physical war. That's not something that I don't think they'll be able to do as easily to Florida Atlantic. I think Florida Atlantic's kids are a little physically tougher than Duke because Duke really got pushed around in that game. I don't think it's going to be as easy to do that. Now, look, with Florida Atlantic, I also think if Tennessee is going to bring this into a half-court brawl, which is what they did against Duke, I think Florida Atlantic has shown you all season long that they're not one of those teams that they've got to score in transition. They've got to push the pace to be good offensively. They've shown that in the half court, if they have to work the ball around, work the shot clock, and find their offense, they've been able to do it. So I don't think Tennessee's style is going to frustrate them and throw them completely off like it did to Duke. And plus, I think the kids on the Florida Atlantic team will have a little bit more of a physical pushback in this game compared to Duke. And then you got Tennessee, Connor. If you watch that Duke game, they made way more. Where did that three-point shooting come from?
Oh, exactly. I don't think that happens again.
Ridiculous.
And Ziegler's not there. It's going to catch up to him. We still
They're
got
not
Rick
doing
Barnes.
That shit again. They're not making all those threes again. Are you kidding me? Without Ziegler, you're going to trust Vescovy and all these guys that around the perimeter that have been very below average three-point shooting all year to duplicate that? Was a once in a lifetime. It was just one of those days. The shots were falling against Duke. For a team that doesn't typically shoot well from beyond the arc. So I don't trust that to happen again. Not a chance. So I think at the worst case scenario for Florida Atlantic, they make this a close game and they make it tough on Tennessee. Tennessee could win, but I don't think it's coming by much of a margin here. I like the Owls plus the points. This is one that I definitely think State could stay under as well, but it's a very low total. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, real quick on the total, Madison Square Garden, we didn't touch on that even the first game. That's why I kind of say we know those can be unders for these college kids. Some of these games, I know the numbers are really good there, but it's under for me here. The first half, 60 or 59.5 full game, 129.5. I can't argue that. But shout out to our guy, Sammy Colmer, 699 Dono, and he's got it on the head. FAU plus 5.5. Take a money line as well, plus 205. I'll dare Tennessee to keep shooting like that. It's going to catch up. Ziegler, that point guard, he was too much to this team. And, they weren't good. Away from home, they're not a very good team. What helps them out, though, here on these neutral floors is their defense. And that keeps them, and that could keep them in this game. But Rick Barnes, all the stuff here, I'll keep going with it. I think FAU will be ready here. So not only under, I like them as well. Give me the points.
All right. Yeah, I like FAU as well here in this one. All right. Next up, final game of this Thursday night regional semifinal slate. The second game in the West Regional semifinals at T-Mobile Arena. Gonzaga and UCLA. UCLA 1-point favorites, 145 the total. Man, is there some history with these two teams in the NCAA tournament. Remember it's actually the 18th anniversary of the Adam Morrison game. Gonzaga, UCLA. Remember Gonzaga had that game dead to right. They had UCLA dead to rights in that game, and UCLA came all the way back. They were down double digits with like 6 minutes to go. They came all the way back. They stunned Gonzaga. It was that moment when then Adam Morrison, with the team down by a possession, turns it over, gets called for an offensive foul, and there he is crying on the court. It's just one of those indelible memories and images that we still have from 18 years ago. It was just a crazy epic
How about the
comeback
game
by
2 years
UCLA.
ago?
And then 2 years ago, that's the other one. The Final Four. Jalen Suggs at the buzzer in overtime, a bank shot to beat UCLA and send Gonzaga to the national championship game. I mean, if there's ever a spot that UCLA's got circled, they badly want to beat this team. But are they healthy enough, right? That's the big question. Is this the game where Clark's injury comes back to haunt them? How about Adem Bona? How exactly healthy is he going into this matchup? Or is he going to play for UCLA? So Bona status. Obviously, Clark out. And the funny thing is David Singleton's been a little bit banged up here, going through some ankles issues. So, it's a banged up UCLA team. It's unfortunate because I kind of lean UCLA here because I think Mick Cronin's done a great job adjusting, with everything that's going on. I love the way they played in their 2 victories. They destroyed Asheville. They, a very solid game and victory against Northwestern. Now, Gonzaga is going to be a lot tougher. But if you actually look at the defensive matchup for Timmy, it's not terrible for UCLA. Jaquez has been not bad, on the defensive end of the court. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to stop him, but they can neutralize him. I think what's key is Mick Cronin sometimes is one of those guys that will leave the perimeters unguarded. And that could be a concern because we know Gonzaga can certainly bomb from 3-point range, led by Julian Strother and Rasheer Bolton and company. They can be a good Malachi Smith. They can be a very good 3-point shooting team. This Gonzaga squad. So what's Mick Cronin do? Does he go against his coaching tendencies and say, you know what? I usually will pack the paint and because you got to look after Timmy, but you leave potentially Bolton and Strother and some of those perimeter guys open. It's kind of pick your poison that UCLA is going to have to go with defensively here in this game. And they've got to keep Gonzaga out of transition. It goes without saying. Gonzaga just destroys team in transition off turnovers. They got to value the ball. And that's another thing that I think UCLA, they've got Tiger Campbell has been the point guard there forever. He's a guy that's in theory played enough games where we shouldn't have to worry about turnovers with him now. He should be experienced enough where he doesn't turn the ball over a ton against Gonzaga. So that's what I'm hoping for here. But, I don't feel as confident because I'm reading this injury report and it doesn't look as good for UCLA as I thought it might be earlier in the week coming into this game. But I still like the Bruins a little bit here. To me, I'm hell-bent on my belief that Gonzaga's not nearly as good this year, as they were last year or 2 years ago or even 3 years ago. I don't necessarily know if this team has got it in them the way the last few years Gonzaga's had it in them. Let's be honest. They almost gave that game away against TCU as well last week. That was not a comfortable victory for Gonzaga. I think UCLA, and look, Jaquez and Campbell are the 2 guys that were on that UCLA squad 2 years ago that lost in the Final Four to Gonzaga. They want their pound of flesh. They want their redemption. Cronin's coached this team up so incredibly well. In spite of all the injuries they've dealt with, it wouldn't shock me if they overcome the injuries again and win this game. Not going to be easy because they're not full strength, and that's what's keeping this a small bet for me. But I am still going to side with UCLA. Conor, what do you think? Gonzaga, UCLA.
I remember this exact 2 years ago, that game. Let's touch the talk about the total. Is there was a point UCLA has to dictate the pace, but Gonzaga's so bad defensively. Yeah. And the other way, Gonzaga, even UCLA's defense, even now is maybe a little bit better, but still dealing with those injuries. I think they'll be able to score. It's just tough for me. In a game like this, it's just like I want to be on this under. But I don't know. And that game did the same thing. Points just started going, and shots just started dropping from everywhere, even how tight and low scoring I remember it was early. So yeah, maybe look at in games. For some reason, I still think it could get over this number. Yeah, I don't know with Bona I think he plays. If he gets in foul trouble right away, Timmy should eat. But on the other side, UCLA should get whatever they want. Watch that TCU game. They just, Gonzaga just doesn't have the defense, and that'll be in the end. What they rank 80th or whatever. I mean, no team from that far back has won a championship that I can remember. But I think this game should be great tonight. That's about all I have on it. I lead in UCLA. I think they're a little bit well-rounded, but the injuries, we talked about last couple of weeks. They were my team. I really wanted to go all the way with the Clark injury. I still think they can get there, or close Final Four, lead 8 here, win tonight. So I'll look at this game live. Like I said, I'd love to be there. Probably not going to make it, but yeah, should be great.
This is. I mean, this is teams with history, teams that I don't think like each other a whole. I know UCLA probably does not like Gonzaga after 2 years ago, and definitely it's a fascinating game because we don't know how good Gonzaga is this year compared to the last 2 years. We don't know how healthy, if how UCLA is going to play with the injury concerns they have. I mean, it's a fascinating
A lot
matchup
of
here.
questions. Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
question, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm with you in the total where, I just don't like betting Gonzaga. Anything in the 140s or lower with Gonzaga totals, I don't like betting them under. I just don't. Not at 145. And I know UCLA wants this to go under. That's the way they want to play, and maybe they can get it to go their way pace-wise.
Yeah.
But again, they're without their best defender. That's not going to be the best for them defensively here against Gonzaga. And Gonzaga is going to push tempo at every opportunity. And if they get the ball in off turnovers, they're going to run. That's just the way they go, Gonzaga. And we've seen so many instances this year with this Gonzaga squad where, they end up seeing their games when they're in the 130s, 140s. Remember those St. Mary's games earlier this year? They were in the 130s because they were playing St. Mary's, more of a stodgy half-court team, and the games flew over the total. I mean, it just seems like more often than not, you put Gonzaga games 130s, 140s, it's just too low. It's going to find a way to go over.
Yeah. And maybe with Clark being out, Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and all that I hear, that championship game that I was at, Arizona, UCLA, that went under, and but everything I've heard over the last few years when they play here, UCLA, who lost to Baylor early in the year, they love it here at T-Mobile. There's no problems. This isn't like Madison Square Garden. They love the rims here at T-Mobile. So that was another thing that I've always heard of the last couple of years is, they don't mind it here.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have at least a few shekels on the over after that little speech that I just gave. So I'm talking myself into it at 145, because obviously for UCLA, that's a total that a lot of their games have gone under 145. I'd counter that and say, I don't know if I can think of a Gonzaga game where you've seen a total at 145 stay under. I really don't. Yeah.
But early on in the year, UCLA against some of these teams did go over. And maybe you could get this even better live that we just talked about. This number early drop and then boom, hit on it. It maybe even touches the 130s.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this game, they're all great games on paper. I mean, they're all fascinating. They're all, and even the games tomorrow, same thing. But this one in particular, because these two teams just played each other in the Final Four a couple of years ago. Really fascinating. Really, really excited to watch that one. All right, that is the Thursday night slate for the Sweet 16 here in the NCAA tournament on the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Hit the like button. 174 live viewers on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. Hit that like button. Conor and I will be back with best bets to wrap up the show in just a moment, right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. Southtown 101, where everyone is descending for Pubapalooza 2 this weekend. Southtown 101, make sure you stop in when you're not at Pubapalooza 2 and you're just there in San Antonio year-round. Stop in for great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and Manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped.com with promo code PubSports. All right, best bets for the first of our 2 nights of Sweet 16 action here in the NCAA tournament. A reminder on the Friday show, I believe it'll be Cab and Conor coming to you at 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So the Friday Sweet 16 action. So make sure you tune in for that. Best bets here for this Thursday slate. Conor, what do you like for best bet?
Yep. Let's keep it rolling here. Best bet. FAU plus 5.5. 5 is fine too. Because I said take some money line, they cover.
There you go. Florida Atlantic plus the points against Tennessee +5. Still out there with the Owls. Woo, 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 woo. There you go. Florida Atlantic +5 against Tennessee. Best bet for Conor Mack. And my best bet for this card, the tough one, but I'm going to rock with K-State plus the 1.5 against +1. Actually, is pretty much the best number out there now. I think
I got a hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
There's
Yeah.
1.5. Yeah.
All right, plus 1.5. Absolutely, plus 1.5. Kansas State. I mean, that's definitely best bet material. I almost used Arkansas, but again, the numbers kind of. I was going to go with Arkansas, but the numbers kind of dropped a little bit. I got 4.5. It's 3.5. So I'm going to go with Kansas State +1 against Michigan State. I got a future on them to win the East region. Very live. They're just 2 wins away, and boy, they set up some great possibilities if they win tonight and move to the regional final, which I think they will. I think they'll get the job done and quiet the Tom Izzo and March chatter tonight. All right, we've got Kansas State +1 against Michigan State for my best bet. That'll wrap it up. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. If you're making your way to San Antonio, safe travels for Pubapalooza 2 and enjoy it. And again, Conor Mack and Cab tomorrow. I think we might just be doing one college basketball show this weekend. We'll probably just do Saturday. And we'll hit all 4 games, all 4 regional finals on Saturday. And that way we won't be on Sunday. We'll do all 4 games on the Saturday show for the
that'll be great. All 4 Saturday morning. All of us will be on. Yeah, and if you're in San Antonio, in the area, come check us out. Say what up this weekend. We will be there watching these games, doing shit. Join us.
Yep.
Crack a beer.
There you go. They got the sports book right there. Basically, it's like a sports book in the back room there. It's Southtown 101. So absolutely check it out. All the TVs there. I know you can't tell the difference. It looked like a sports book. We were there last year for sure. Great hospitality it was last year at Southtown 101. So yeah, definitely. If you're anywhere close in the San Antonio, Texas region, go down there, say hello to everybody that'll be there for Pubapalooza 2. You'll have a good time. All right, good stuff. That's the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. For Conor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the first night of the Sweet 16. And Conor and Cab will be with you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, with the College Basketball Net Profit Show. And then I'll be back with Conor and Cab Saturday, College Basketball Pub Up, right here on Pub Sports Radio. Enjoy the Sweet 16. Enjoy the games and good luck. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.